Hello, it's Ken, doing Pride Month video number 4. Today we're doing an extension of what I talked about yesterday. Yesterday we talked about romantic discrimination, and both by choice and by nature. And today we're going to extend that a little bit to talk about something sort of related, but it's a little different, and we're talking about isms. Specifically, we're talking about agism and ablism. All right. And if you don't know what these are, they're a form of discrimination, but not necessarily self-prescribed discrimination like what we were talking about yesterday with romantic discrimination. This goes beyond the scope of different strokes for different folks. This is genuine discrimination, societal discrimination. So the first one I think is probably the easiest to talk about, and that is agism. And so agism is the idea that people should only date people who are age appropriate. Now, what the hell does that mean, age appropriate? Well, that's the thing. It varies depending on your culture and what society thinks is age appropriate, or what individuals think is age appropriate. Now, obviously, there is one age appropriateness that's very, very obvious, and that is the age of consent, right? Whatever that is, the point in which somebody is deemed to be an adult, to be able to consent, to be capable of consenting as an adult. Now, that particular age varies from, on a psychological, physiological standpoint. That age varies from person to person. So it's very, very hard in order to pinpoint an exact date in which people who are young become adults, obviously. And yes, I know where you think I'm going with this. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just clarifying at the very beginning that I'm talking about consensual adults here. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about consenting adults. All right. Now, used to be back in the days, we'd have the, some cultures still do this. They have a rite of passage. Sorry, I had a spider web on my face. It was driving me crazy. We'd have like a bar mitzvah. There's another culture in Christianity is the specifically Catholicism. They have, I'm trying to remember, it's the I can't remember, but they have one too, confirmation. So the Catholics that have confirmation that confirms you're an adult, and the way that they describe it in that is that you don't have a guardian angel anymore. You're now an adult and capable of your own decisions, and up until then you had a guardian angel that looked after you. Once you're confirmed, then you don't need a guardian angel anymore because you're an adult and you're a smart person. You can figure it out for yourself, is the idea. All right, here in the United States, generally speaking, although there isn't a national adulthood age, but in most states it's 18, which makes sense. This is a good age, so you finished high school graduation, becomes you're now an adult. That's just kind of how we do things here in the United States. Different in other countries. I'm not going to say who's right, who's wrong. Really, the key is that both parties are mature enough to be capable of consent, and that's really all that's important when it comes to, in my opinion, my personal opinion, when it comes to age appropriateness. All right. Now, a lot of people don't see it that way, though. Some people say there's the half plus 7. You should never date anybody who is, if you take your age and divide it by 2 and then add 7. So let's see, I'm 39, so I would divide my age by 2, would be 15, 16, 18, plus 7 would be, I can do this, 25. So I should not date anybody who's younger than 25. That would be age inappropriate. Well, screw you. You know what? It doesn't matter. It really is not important. If they're old enough and they can consent, then that's age appropriate. If you think anything otherwise, then you are ageist. You're an ageist. You are engaging in agism. You're trying to, and it's not about you, right? If I say, well, I don't want to date anybody, older than myself, right? That's kind of one of my rules. So I try not to. I mean, so like I always say, if somebody's really special, I always bend the rules for awesome people. But generally speaking, I don't date women who are older than myself. Just because I'm not really into it, That's fine. That's my choice, right? But now, when you start to tell somebody else, to other people who are not you, who they should or shouldn't be dating for a specific reason, you're engaged in an ism, and in this example specifically, ageism. So, if I were to call somebody who's 40 dating a 20-year-old, and I say, "Ew, you're so creepy," right? Ew, how can you date that person who's younger than you? Or how can you date that person that's older than you? That's ageism. That's not cool. All right? That's lame. That's none of your business. All right? You're not in the relationship. It's not your relationship. You don't get to say who gets to date who unless it's you who's doing the dating. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to clarify that a little bit for the audience who may be watching this video series, because I didn't really talk about that particular aspect of discrimination yesterday. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Now, as for myself, yes, I kind of have my rules as far as age goes, but like I said, those are my rules. Those are for me. Generally speaking, don't date women who are older than me, just because I don't know. This is how I think about it. In fact, I think what's best for people, and this is not to say that people who don't do this are bad or wrong in any way whatsoever. Certainly, all people can date whoever they want. But I have always thought really, that it is best for someone who's older to date someone who's younger. So if you're younger, you should date somebody older. And if you're older, you should date somebody who's younger, right? And it's not just for guys. It goes both ways for girls. So, if you're a young man, you should date an older woman so that she can teach you, hopefully, in her advanced years, and I don't mean like 90, but if that's what you're into, because again, ageism, grandma needs some too, if she really wants some and you want to give it to her, I'm not going to judge you, all right? Like, everybody likes the G-MILFs. But anyway, but yeah, if you're a younger man, you should date an older woman because she has experience. She knows how a woman needs to be treated, and she's not going to be shy. She's not going to be insecure. She's going to tell you exactly what you need to do in order to treat a woman properly. Likewise, if you're an older man, you should date, or a younger woman, you should date an older man, because an older man is not an idiot. That's the problem with young guys, is they're stupid. This is why I kind of think this should be this way, right? A young man, you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing. A young woman, sorry, I hate to say it, but you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing either. And you get two stupid people together doing stupid things, and chaos ensues. I shouldn't say stupid. It's not that you're unintelligent, it's you're inexperienced, you're ignorant in the ways of romantic relationships. And that's where all sorts of stupid accidents happen, such as unwanted pregnancies or, mistreatment of partners, because we don't know how to treat people. We don't know. There's the rules of engagement aren't well defined because we've never been with anybody who knew what they were doing. And all my best techniques that I have in the bedroom, oh boy, I got those all from some women with experience. Not necessarily older. I have actually been with some older women who really didn't know what the hell they were doing, just because they were never with that older person to teach them the ways, or they didn't want to learn or whatever. But they just went through the whole life with people who were dumb and didn't know what they were doing. And knowledge needs to be passed down from the older to the younger. That's how it works. And again, I'm talking about adults here, consenting adults. Don't misconstrue any of that. If somebody is incapable of consent, then that's it. That's the end of the story. Which brings us to our next thing, and that is ablism. All right, ablism is a little trickier, right? Because we're dealing with whether or not somebody is able, right? And what does that mean? And so ableism is used to refer to people who have what would be considered by society a disability in regards to their sexuality. So a lot of people think that people who have a disability are non-sexual beings. Same thing with like the ageism. People think that grandma in the nursing home couldn't possibly want to get her freak on. Well, you know what? She does. She totally does. And so do a lot of people who are disabled. They also want to get laid just like everyone else. There's people who don't have genitalia who want to get laid. All right, it's not just a physical thing; it's a psychological thing. All right, it's the need to be intimate with other human beings is important to everyone. Even people who have phobias of intimacy still have the desire to be, at the very least, psychologically, if not physically, intimate with other people. So, that being said, ableism is this kind of this really sticky widget, because if somebody is, for example, has a mental disability, we gotta wonder, are they capable of consent, right? Like, even if they really, really want to get boned, right, are they capable of understanding what's happening, and are you taking advantage of them? That's the big question. Is somebody, you know, is somebody who is not disabled being with somebody who is disabled, are they taking advantage, yes or no? You know, people have a lot of weird, like even me, who's pretty much okay with most of it. I guess I'll just wait for this truck to go by, because he just wants to do donuts around me with his beeper on. You know, so anyway, oh look, he's gonna come around for another pass. Jeez. So anyway, yeah, so it's a real sticky one, because, you know, within disabilities there's a huge spectrum too. Like, for example, me. Look at me. Seem pretty normal, right? I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm capable of consent, sure. But do I have disabilities? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When I was a kid, I was in special education, right? No, it wasn't because I was unintelligent. The problem was that I have dyslexia, all right? And so reading and writing were particularly tough for me as a child, and so thus I was in special education for, at a bare minimum, at least a year. My mom didn't like the idea of me being in special education, because she thought that it meant I was retarded, and being around other retarded people, that I would become more retarded. And so, which is in itself a form of ablism, you know. And so she instead moved me and my brother to another town, and then put us both back a year in school, you know, which worked out really great for me, because, you know, I like younger girls, and I was a year older than all the other girls in class, so that worked out real well for me when I was younger. But anyway, not that I was bored at anybody back then. I was just a kid. But it's still, it's kind of, you know, it's just one of my natural things, like my natural romantic discrimination. So again, and it's something I was born with. But anyway, getting back to the ableism idea. So I mean, obviously, you know, I'm capable of consent, right? I would hope so. I think so. If not, boy, we're in real trouble. You know, so where do you draw that line? You know, where do you get to say somebody is or isn't capable of consent? And that's a huge gray area, right? But to say that all disabled people are incapable of consent, or to assume that if somebody is having sex with a disabled person that they're taking advantage of them, that's ableism. And a lot of, you know, example, one girl I used to date, she was not stupid. She wasn't the brightest light bulb out there in the world, but, you know, yes, she was in special education. I didn't find out about this until a couple months after we were dating, and you know, and she had dropped out of high school so that she could party full time, and you know, so upon hearing about this, you know, I had to think about it for a second. I had to say, okay, you know, how retarded is this girl? I know that's not an appropriate word. That's a discriminatory word these days or whatever, but this is just thought process, all right? I'm just going through a thought process here. I'm not saying these things to be mean, all right? So it's like, how disabled is this girl? Does she just have, dyslexia like me, or is she really mentally challenged? And because she did a lot of dumb things, and she would play it off as well. Anyway, but so I told her that she had to get her GED, right? Because that seemed pretty good evidence. If somebody, all right, school system's not working out for you, I can understand that. I had my troubles in school too. But I was like, all right, you need to go and get your GED on your own, and then we're cool. And she did. She went and she got her GED, so she was capable. She was, oh God. No, I'm not going to say that show. But there's this good one from In Living Color, if you ever saw that. But anyway, oh, no, that's terrible. I'm not going to say that. So anyway, but yeah, and she's now a fully functioning adult in our by society's standards. It's no longer an issue. Because she's an adult now. It didn't matter if she was in special education or not when she was younger. Same with me. It doesn't matter anymore. But there's other people, who people can get down on them. They treat them like they're not capable of consent. And obviously, somebody in a coma, for example, not capable of consent. But as far as each of the individuals out there, it's really just a matter of on a case by case basis. And a lot of people out there have physical disabilities, and therefore, but people link physical disability with a mental disability. So there's a lot of people with physical disabilities out there who have muscular issues. There's this girl at the club last night, right? And she's dancing, having a good time, adult. Had I don't know. So I didn't ask her, but she had some sort of muscular issue going on, where she had like the crooked arm, and she kind of like had a little wobble in her walk, and some other things. But she was, she had like the weird talk. That was another thing. I was in special ed with this one guy. He just had a speech impediment. That's what he was in there for. Like, what are you in for? I give the guy stutter. But yeah, she had kind of like the Bobcat Goldthwait kind of voice thing going on. And I'm not familiar with every single thing out there. I do my best to try to memorize all the different issues people have, but I'm not diagnosing her. But obviously, she had some things going on. But she was adult. She was able to order drinks at the bar. If that's not being able to consent, I don't know what is. For the most part, she was just a little weird. That's all. A little different. A little atypical than your average person, and we're all atypical in some way or another. Not, we all try to be that person on the front of the fashion magazine, but we're not. 99.9% of the time, we're not that person on the front of the fashion magazine. In fact, that person on the front of the fashion magazine isn't even the person who they took the photo of, isn't even the person on the front of the fashion magazine. All right, there's lots of lighting and makeup and airbrushing and twisting and turning and contorting and special lenses and all sorts of things to create that person who doesn't really exist. And so, yeah. And then, there's some people who are just the beautiful people. You know who I'm talking about. The beautiful people. A lot of them are a little touched in the head, if you will. I'm just trying to think of what term can I use that's not prejudiced in some way. So yeah, they're a little touched in the head, but you know what? Everybody lets them slide because they look good. That's one of the things with ageism. I mean, not ageism, ableism. Is a lot of it has to do with appearances. So like I was saying, this girl at the club, she was rocking out. She's having a good time. She was having fun. She was shooting me looks. Obviously, she wanted to get some. I considered it. Because you know what? I don't really give a shit about that kind of stuff. I work in a freak show and see all sorts of weird ass people, we're all human beings. And she's shooting me looks. In the end, though, I decided not to because she had a fanny pack on, and I thought that was kind of silly looking, and I just couldn't hang with somebody with a fanny pack. I know it's a weird thing, but like I said in my video yesterday, a lot of times with me, the outfit makes a huge difference in people, and I know that's a weird thing, but God damn these trucks. I'm just got a porta potty on this side, you got the water guys on this side, backing up, beep, 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 beep. This guy won't leave me alone everywhere I go. Look, he's gonna try to run me over backwards. He's gonna back right up into the porta potty. Oh, all that just to go that way. Man, he could have gone down the block, turned around. Anyway, over there we got the porta potty. Yeah. So, anyway, end of the story. Yeah. You know what? We all have a choice about what outfit we put on in the morning. I'm sorry, that's a thing, The outfit we put on, some people are just whatever. They're poor, they can't afford much. I get it. Not everybody has to wear Ralph Lauren all the time. That would be ridiculous. But I know people who have literally zero money who manage to put together great outfits. So I don't want to hear that too much as an excuse. Yeah, sorry. It's one of my romantic discriminations. You have to be able to put on some decent clothes. It takes 5 minutes to put on some decent clothes, damn it. So that's my big discrimination. But yeah, but let's but the main thing is though, it's really about you have the right to discriminate for yourself who you have sex with, because if you didn't, well, then what good is consent in which you don't get to choose your partner, right? That's all. Isn't that the whole idea behind consent? But you do not have the right to choose who other people get to consent with or to or about themselves. Their consent is their choice. Your consent is your choice. And that's the end of that. This is video number 4. for Pride Week. It's getting too loud, so it's a good place to stop. And my name's Ken. Think about it. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of others. Happy Pride Month.